welcome back to Amiable Sloth, and today I'm going to be looking at the episode, or new series, which I am so excited about, the new Marvel series, What If, and I'm going to be going through what exactly What If is, what happened in the first episode, and things I really loved about it, and things that I didn't like so much, and I'll sort of weave that in as well. There's only one thing that I thought, it's not that I didn't like, but I thought that would have been really cool if they'd done. But anyway, so first of all, What If is an awesome show. But first of all, What If is essentially from the perspective of a being called the Watcher. And the Watcher is kind of like Heimdall. Whereas Heimdall can see everything that goes on in one universe, the Watcher can see everything that goes on in all of the universes. And every choice that's made that makes each universe different from the others. So what we do in What If is, from their perspective, go through some of the universes that occurred. So the first universe that we have a look at is What If Peggy Carter was the first Avenger. So the thing that made Peggy Carter... So pause here if you haven't watched the first episode. Go and watch the first episode, then come back. So, in this episode, what we see is Peggy Carter choosing to stay whilst Steve gets his serum. And that is the moment in which this universe completely changes from our reality. So this alternate universe where Peggy chooses to stay whilst Steve Rogers gets the serum. And what happened was the assassin, Heinz Kruger, set off the explosion before Steve Rogers got in the serum machine and started having that process done to him. So only a couple of people were left alive. One was Howard Stark. The other, Erskine died in Captain America: The First Avenger, but it looked like he survived the explosion this time. But it doesn't really matter. Basically, what ended up happening is Steve Rogers, before he was serumized, was injured, and Peggy Carter took his place. So this was an incredibly powerful scene. I just wanted to comment on the animatics as well, because the animatics are so good. They are flawless. Like, completely flawless. For someone who watches anime, they are just flawless. I love them so much. But also, and I'm really happy that they managed to get most of the original actors to do the voice acting work as well. That's really great. I'm really pleased about that. But one of the major things in the first bit of the episode is having a look at sexism towards Peggy Carter and the different reasons why Peggy Carter and Captain America were kept away from the war. And so Captain America, so both of the universes had Captain Flynn being really annoyed because he only got one and he wanted an army. But in Peggy Carter's case, he only got one and she was a girl. I mean, she's not a girl, she's a woman, but we'll just leave it there. So what we then see is we start to have a look at some of the sexism in World War II and some kind of an escapist way in which Peggy Carter was able to get out of that sexist world and become something more than just a girl. But yeah, so I really enjoyed the fact that they dealt with that and they actually looked at that properly, rather than just, oh yeah, there's some mean people, but oh well, we're gonna skip over that and go to the fighting bit. I'm really happy that they actually looked at that. Also, what I really love is Peggy and Howard teaming. I love Howard. Howard Stark is the greatest person alive. But anyway, I love the fact that they teamed up and Peggy got a Captain America suit that is like a Captain Great Britain suit, and it's so cool because she has the Union Jack on her shield and on her suit. I never actually noticed that it had the American flag on them, but that's just me being really unobservant. But I'm so happy because they have the Union Jack on them, which is really cool. But anyway, That is just me being weird. So Peggy and Howard, sorry, I'm just reading my notes. Peggy and Howard team up because Flynn is basically being a moron and saying she can't go to be active in the field, and they're saying the Tesseract is literally here. We can get it. We can get the Tesseract. We can't waste this opportunity. So what happens is she goes and completely destroys a whole unit of people and takes the Tesseract back. And Captain Flint is obviously like, whoa, you got a Tesseract, you weren't authorised to get that, because he was against it because Captain Flint is a moron. And so in essence, her story is fairly similar to Captain America's story, but there is a lot that changes. Like, they never actually get the Tesseract, and I'm pretty sure they never actually get the Tesseract in the first Avenger, and they certainly don't do what happens next, which is Howard Stark builds essentially an Iron Man suit called the Hydra Stomper using this Tesseract, and Steve Rogers then gets, because obviously Steve Rogers, the skinny kid from Brooklyn, is not Captain America, he is still the skinny kid from Brooklyn. He gets a whole cool suit which he can use, and it's so cool. So yeah, the Hydra Stomper is born. Now, one thing that I've really loved it if they did was, well, I'll save it for later. I won't tell you yet. But anyway, yeah. So the Iron Man suit is really cool, and it's super early as well. So Tony Stark wouldn't have actually created the Iron Man suit in this reality. It would have been Howard Stark that created the Iron Man suit. So that is interesting. I want to see how that plays out. Obviously we don't get to see it in the episode because this episode's about Peggy Carter, but I'm really interested in how that actually changes stuff, and maybe what Tony Stark would have created being given the Iron Man suit as something that was created 70 years ago. So then what happens is Peggy Carter and Captain Carter and the Hydra Stomper, Steve Rogers, then team up because Bucky Barnes, and this is true to the real universe, has been captured by Hydra, and the 107th Battalion are all behind bars, basically, by Hydra. Now, I've written here as a note, I love Howard Stark. I'm not sure exactly why, but I love Howard Stark. Anyway, carrying on, they team up and they go and rescue the battalion of 107th, which is also true to the original universe. So that was really nice to see, actually. Obviously, it's not true to the original universe because the Hydra Stomper never existed and Captain Carter never existed. But the rescuing of Battalion 107th did happen in universe. So, then what we see happen is the whole romance thing between Peggy Carter and Steve Rogers starting to happen, with Howard Stark being amazing in between. But that makes it, and they also bring back the dance thing, so there are quite a lot of similarities in this universe with our universe, because there's the whole dance thing on Saturday night, and then there's a whole kind of romance that they were about to do. But the one thing that I was really confused about when watching was, like, if, like, Bucky can't fall now because the Hydra Stomper can fly. And if the Hydra Stomper can fly, it can just fly down to the bottom of the cliff, pick Bucky up, and zoop, and all the pain and suffering is fixed. Needless to say, that doesn't happen, because the Hydra Stomper gets blown up, and it's actually Steve Rogers that is captured by Hydra. Now, I've skipped a couple of bits here because what they were trying to do is get at Red Skull, and kill Red Skull on this train, but it was a trick, and the whole train blew up, and Hydra Stomper was the only one who wasn't able to get off the train because he was actually in the room with the explosive. So Steve Rogers is then captured by Hydra, which is kind of similar. So Bucky in the real universe, Steve in this universe. But then what happens is Captain Carter is like, nope, not accepting that. So she plans with Howard Stark and Bucky and also Captain Flynn, but he's kind of like, you know, is it Colonel Flynn? I can't remember. Who really cares? He's not important. We hate him. So they plan to go and storm the castle, which is in the Black Forest, and to take back Steve Rogers. And when they get there, everything goes according to plan, apart from the fact that Red Skull is summoning a huge monster, which also kills him, which is different to the actual universe as well. He gets killed by his own summoning, which is, you know, fair, like, good. I'm glad he's dead, but yeah. So, anyway. So then what happens is Captain Carter and Howard Stark go off one way because Howard Stark might be needed to press some buttons. And Bucky and the other few people who I don't think we actually really know, probably from the 107th Battalion, go off to find Steve Rogers. And Steve Rogers is actually rescued, and he and his suit are saved from Hydra, so that never happens either. The whole Winter Soldier thing never actually happens, which is really interesting because that changes so much about the universe. But there's something even bigger that happens, that's just about to happen, that changes even more of the universe. And that is during the fight between this monster and Peggy Carter, and by that time Steve Rogers and the 107th Battalion that have arrived. Peggy Carter finds a really cool sword, which I love. Like, I love how she's slammed against the wall, the sword is just there. But, I mean, you know, it's drama, we can't expect everything. But still. It's quite amusing, but also she looks so cool with a shield and sword. She just looks awesome. But anyway, yeah, so basically, during this fight, Peggy Carter gets sucked into the Tesseract Void with the monster. And at that point, I thought she might have died. But it actually jumps to 70 years later when Nick Fury, and do you remember the whole Loki entrance scene with the Tesseract shooting the big thing and then Loki comes out? That's actually Captain Carter. Right. So, presumably then that means that Loki doesn't actually arrive on Earth. And if Loki doesn't actually arrive on Earth, that changes the entire universe. Because the Avengers never meet up. Which isn't a problem for the first few years, because Age of Ultron also wouldn't have happened if Loki hadn't been there, because Age of Ultron all comes from Loki's scepter. But when you get to things like Infinity War, Endgame maybe, everything changes. Because the Avengers wouldn't exist. The Avengers came together to fight Loki. So the Avengers don't exist in this universe where Captain Carter is the first Avenger. So yeah, and also Tony Stark already has the Iron Man suit. So where is he now? He might have never been blown up. He wouldn't have invented the Iron Man suit in that cave. That may not have even happened. So Tony Stark may still be dealing with weapons. He might not even be in the running to be an Avenger. So there's so much stuff. Like, the Winter Soldier doesn't exist. He's not an Avenger. Like, there's so much stuff that completely changes because of this one choice that Peggy Carter made to stay in a room rather than leave. And that to me is crazy. That to me is absolutely crazy. But anyway, I've warbled on enough, so now I've covered a few things that I really liked about this show. The animation, Howard Stark, the whole story of how it unfurled worked seamlessly. It was a brilliant script. I absolutely adored all of the characters. The characters' design was so true to the actual characters. So there's one thing that I would have really liked, and I've kind of talked about it just now, and it's, I want to know what happens next. You know, I want to know if Loki never arrives, there's no Avengers, what happens? Is Tony Stark still a weapons trader? What about Black Widow and Hawkeye? Like, do they just go on being agents and never... The Avengers would never actually come together. Bruce Banner just continues to live in India. Like, what? What? And then, if you think about it, right, Bruce Banner continues to live in India when Thor arrives on, if Thor even does arrive on, the planet in Ragnarok, which I've forgotten the name, he wouldn't be fighting the Hulk. He'd be fighting something else. And then he might lose, like he kind of did to the Hulk, but not really. And then they would never escape. He would just be stuck there forever. Like, so much stuff changes. Oh my god. Meh. Anyway, alright, that is me. I am done. I need to think about my life decisions and sort this out in my head. But it was really nice doing this video for you guys. I really enjoyed it. So I'm hoping to do one every week now. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.